Hey, welcome to another episode of The Well. We are April 29, 2024. Welcome. And today I want to talk with you about the detrimental effects of judgment on yourself and on society. And as you know, I only have like a 15, 20 minutes that I dedicate to the different and various topics. But this one is so important, specifically. Yeah, well, actually, it's from all ages. I wanted to say specifically now, and with everything that's going on in the world, but it actually has always been important. And the whole thing, the whole concept of judgment, the whole idea and the whole reality of judgment comes actually from long, long time ago. I mean, if you want to understand judgment, you have to understand that the nature of judgment is very human. It's very survival based. It's very automatic. It's really something that has its roots in evolutionary theory. Why? Or theory, not only theory, history, practice, life. I mean, you can imagine that if you're vulnerable, have nothing, or you live in the open fields and you're attacked by an animal, by a wild animal, you need to decide very quickly, do I run? Do I kill? What do I do? So this whole thing of deciding quickly is all in by itself, not something that's wrong. However, it's in modern ways something that is used as to label something as right or as wrong. And that is where we kind of run into trouble, both within ourselves as in the outside world. So to assess situations quickly is good. I mean, if you're in business, you know that making decisions quickly is great because money loves speed. But assessing situations quickly can also lead to snappy judgments. I mean, we all have this idea like, well, excuse my language, like what an asshole, or I'm a loser, or, or the word bitch is flying around used by people so easily. So snappy judgments, it's actually that get us stuck because we've been labeled something, we have judged something, and then we move on with our life. And here, I think, is where things go wrong. And now I'm again judging as well, because it can be very comfortable to judge and indeed move on. But I think it also leads to a lot of, unnecessary, hidden misconceptions, both again within ourselves as well as in society. And that's why I'm addressing the topic of judgment anyway. So how can we stop judgment in our tracks? Because it's not helping us really. Cultivate mindful awareness to the fact that you are judging. I always like to say, like, make it a game, pay attention to things without judgment. If you see a news program, a movie, reading a book, see a nice outfit on the street, or eating something, in what way are you judging? Is it automatic? Is it well thought through? Are you actually pretty non-judgmental? Because the thoughts and the feelings that you bring to what you do create space or don't create space. So is there a way that you, in this next week, for example, can become a little bit more aware of your hasty judgments, and then ask yourself, hey, do I now create space for another view, another meaning, another experience, another feeling maybe even, or do I actually reduce it? So do I reduce variety and diversity? So have fun with that. Second point is empathy is basically a great antidote to judgment, because, it actually makes sense that it's very, very well linked. If we judge very quickly, we are not very empathetic. Only when it comes to ourselves, maybe we can judge ourselves harshly, and then have this kinder voice within saying like, it doesn't matter, it's okay. And yeah, you were tired, so you had the right to, well, whatever, an ice cream or chocolate or something. And it is kind of soothing us. So to say like, okay, empathizing is important so that you understand better somebody else's experiences. Because yes, somebody may be called an asshole by you, but that person was behaving in a certain way for a certain reason, having a certain experience, having a certain reason in his view or her view for doing what he's doing. So is there something that in you that can kind of stop, say, hey, what could be the reason somebody's doing this? Again, you maybe need time to stand in life like this, but ultimately also that is a choice to, if you're feeling disconnected and you want more connection in your life, stop judging as harsh as you do, because it's just obstructing you in creating a more kind environment also for yourself. It really starts with you. So empathy, yes, antidote to creating this non-space where your feelings and then thoughts need to flourish. And they can't flourish in a locked up space. That's why prisons are so awful. That's where very strict convictions that are choking people are harsh. If there's no space anymore for a less for a less judgmental way of dealing with things, situations, and people, and feelings and thoughts. So okay, so the fourth thing I want to address here quickly is that the way to go is to challenge assumptions and stereotypes. And that is something that is also almost like a game, you know. If you can learn how to question preconceived notions by being more curious, being more analytical, by just playing with different thoughts. I mean, to reflect on what you're thinking, what you're saying, what you're reading, what you're hearing, what you're seeing, then automatically there's coming more understanding for other people, for other situations. And if we will all be doing this, we create a more understanding world. So I have not such a nice question for you. If you don't want to do these things, are you then actually contributing to a world that wants to be disconnected, to a world that wants to be not understanding, to a world that has this ego pride is saying like, I am the best and others are less. This is work that can contribute to a happier world and a better planet. So challenging assumptions and stereotypes is really something that will help you to contribute to doing life happier and to create a more human world. I would like to say, like the beautiful human kind of world, the good thing of humanity. And now, while saying this, I'm also I'm also judging, you know, because what is a beautiful human? So yeah, practicing self-compassion, because it's all a learning process. It is definitely something that's always part of growth. You know, yes, you can be kind to yourself, you can be harsh to yourself, but extending kindness to yourself and others, because again, I'm dealing with a lot of people and supporting a lot of people, and many have a very harsh inner voice, a very critical voice. And there are all reasons for this, because they've maybe been raised like this, or there's those it's a language vocabulary that's coming from generations that were really in survival, so there was no time to be truly empathetic, or so it was like a come on with a good work ethic, not too much emotion, and all these things are still relevant today. They also make a lot of sense to a certain extent, but there gets to be space for people to feel, to hear, to thought, and to be seen. So this harsh voice inside gets to be softened through exercise, through, well, maybe the arts, through practicing self-compassion as something foundational, something unique to you, something that once you give yourself this space, you can also expand to others and extend to others. So, because by doing so, you break the cycle of judgment. And I just like to take it again to a kind of a geopolitical example that to consciously harm others, other people or other communities or other nations or nations to be is something. If you consciously harm others, it's just such a sign that there's so much to be resolved within you, within that strategy, within that approach, within that love for self, self-worth, self-esteem, self-respect, self-love. I mean, if you truly respect yourself, you'd never on purpose harm somebody else. I mean, it's actually not possible. Yes, you can harm somebody accidentally, like, oh, and then you would also immediately apologize. But to if you truly respect yourself, never the intention is to harm, because you would not do that to yourself either. You would not do that to yourself, to inflict harm onto somebody else. You get what I mean? True self-respect. The last thing that somebody would want is to harm somebody else, because you don't want that splash of dirt on your soul, on your being. So, well, time flies quickly. Oh, I'm already at over 20 minutes. Sorry. So yeah, the conclusion for this short talk is basically, if we want a compassionate, inclusive, kind, caring society, let's stop judging so quickly and understanding the nature of judgment. I have my list here, becoming mindfully aware of when you are judging, using empathy as an antidote, and challenging assumptions and stereotypes, and becoming or practicing at least self-compassion are really great elements that help you getting rid of this detrimental trait that is in all of us, judging. And I always say, like, okay, if for those who are familiar with the Bible or that kind of thing, I mean, it's not for nothing that this whole last judgment thing is at the end. It's not about us necessarily being judged ultimately, or at least that's not what I typically believe, but it is that the last judgment, it's the last thing we get to do as people is to judge, or is to judge each other. And there's this beautiful saying, like, okay, if you want walk in somebody's moccasins, his shoes, for a week or two before judging, because you can take somebody's perspective. It's like putting on somebody else's shoes, then you take somebody's perspective. But being truly empathetic means that you start walking in their shoes. And it's a challenge, because I think that many prefer being complacent, being comfortable, conforming to what everybody else is doing. And yeah, to do life happier, while in denial, while in complacency, while staying in your comfort zone is extremely hard. So you make it very, very hard on yourself. If you can't get to opening up to these kind of lessons, like the one I'm sharing with you now, because doing life happier is really possible when you come to face what's actually right in front of you. And you can break through in connection with others. And a happier life is just waiting for you. And is it always easy? No, it will never be fully easy because that's life, right? Yet it is possible to create more space within yourself and in your relationship to others that allow for more joy, for more fresh air, for more new insights to flourish. So I hope you can catch yourself in your snappy judgment this week and come back to this training to listen to it once more. I will write some highlights down below because I see that I'm far more longer talking than I intended to. So have a great week and I see you next week. Bye.